Salutations everybody, it is Matty here today with my updated Bethesda E3 prediction list. Now I've done this once in the past when Bethesda's E3 conference was initially announced, and we're going to be doing this again in May when we have industry insider Shinobi602 on the podcast to discuss E3 yet again. But I wanted to update my personal prediction list because I felt that with all this new information we've been getting lately that I can really solidify a good prediction list and give you guys my honest thoughts on how I think things are going to go. But nonetheless, we will be revisiting this topic down the line once we get very close to E3. But without further ado, let's dive into this and talk about what I think is going to be on the full frontal display at Bethesda's E3 conference. What's the main highlight? The essentially Fallout 4 of the show, since Fallout 4 was like the highlight last year. What's going to be that game this coming year for Bethesda? And for me personally, I think the highlight game is going to be Dishonored 2. It's going to get a full reveal, gameplay, both Corvo and Emily, so we know who we're going to be messing with, as well as story details and a release date announcement similar to Fallout 4, where they're going to be like, everyone's excited, here we go, we're going to drop the bomb, boom. I'm going to go with October is when I think it's going to come out. I think this game has been in development for a while. I think that they're ready to release it. They just want to go ahead and show it all and put it all out there. I think they're very much going to follow the same kind of treatment that Fallout 4 got, where then they're going to trickle out details after the official reveal for it. But things have just been way too quiet for Dishonored 2 recently, where I feel like they just have to give it this big exposure at Bethesda's E3 conference, because it is most definitely going to be a 2016 game, unless it's unfortunately delayed, which I really don't think it's going to be. I feel like they are getting ready to show us something really big and really special, and I'm super excited to see how things go. I can really imagine seeing like maybe an aggressive Emily playthrough and then showing just how well the levels are built when you play as Corvo and he's more of a stealth focused build or something along those lines. I'm really curious to see how this game is doing, and I am beyond excited for this game. Now, how about that Elder Scrolls and Fallout? What about them? People are wondering, well, with Fallout 4 last year, there's no way that they can have as big of a presence, but I think they're not going to have a ginormous presence like Fallout 4 did last year, but I think they're going to have a much bigger presence than most would have expected, and I think Bethesda is going to utilize that unpredictability to really capitalize and give us some cool surprises for both these universes. Considering that Fallout 4 isn't dominating the show this year, I feel other games can flex their muscles, and that Fallout and Elder Scrolls can kind of share screen time in a sense and both get announcements one after the other. Now, in the terms of announcements, what am I expecting from both these titles? For Fallout 4, I feel like it's pretty obvious that we're going to get the second phase of DLC plans. I feel like Far Harbor is going to be out, things will digest for us, and then boom, all of a sudden we have second phase of DLC for Bethesda's E3 conference. Maybe they'll show us some new concept art, some of the new lands, maybe some gameplay, maybe a big update, some of their plans for that. I feel like DLC just isn't enough at times, where that's why I think Elder Scrolls is going to step in. They're going to show off maybe Elder Scrolls Online DLC, because I know the Dark Brotherhood is coming soon, so maybe give that a release date. I imagine that's something plausible. And then this is kind of my big prediction here on this entire list. This is really the big prediction in my opinion, is that there's going to be an Elder Scrolls remaster of some form that'll be announced with a short launch period. I'm saying like they're going to announce it and it'll be out in a couple of months. And the reason I'm saying that is because I feel like Bethesda has finally realized that Bethesda Game Studios needs to have an annual presence to really keep gamers off their back. They are always desperate for more content and always want more. And I know that they've said that they don't plan on remastering and remaking and all this stuff, but I feel like when push comes to shove, this would be a good idea. Skyrim is the number 2 most requested backwards compatible game on Xbox One, and they are yet to do it. I feel like with Bethesda being a company that tends to listen to the people, that they are clearly doing something with this title. There have been rumor after rumor after rumor about how Skyrim is going to be coming to the new systems and everything, and I feel like it's going to happen, especially when Todd Howard said it's not happening yet, and then he said, I regret saying that, naturally, in Todd Howard fashion. But for me personally, if I had to pick an Elder Scrolls game to be remastered, it would not be Skyrim, but I can see potential in a Skyrim remaster for console users. I don't know how exactly they're going to do it for PC users, but I see obviously the up-res, the advanced FPS, but I also see a cool implementation of console mods. I think that would be very cool, but who knows with Skyrim. For me, if I had to pick an actual game to be remastered from the Elder Scrolls franchise, it would have to be Morrowind. A lot of people actually stay away from Morrowind due to its combat. I used to be one of those people, but I've just fell in love with Morrowind. I absolutely love this game, man. It is so much fun. I would also go with Oblivion. It's got to be one of those two personally, or maybe if you really want to go back, do like Arena, do one of the older Elder Scrolls games. But I really think that Morrowind is the perfect fit, and I've been saying this for years now, that this is a game that deserves a up-res, a brand new treatment, a fresh look. I know there are mods out there and stuff, but we all know that we want that official treatment for Morrowind because it's just a game that made Bethesda what it is today. And I think that's just a game that kind of deserves that type of treatment, right? To be kind of resurrected in a sense and brought back and have new people experiencing what people would call Bethesda's traditional RPG when they were, quote, a good RPG developer, if you really want to slam them and all that stuff. Fun fact, it is absolutely no fucking coincidence whatsoever that Morrowind soundtrack is by the same guy who made Knights of the Old Republic soundtrack, so it's obviously fucking fantastic and you must listen to it. On top of that, let's say there is this Elder Scrolls remaster. People are going to be like, all right, cool. I'm ready for more Elder Scrolls this year. You know, going to get a Bethesda Game Studios fix. And I think like with this new remaster, by the way, if it's like Skyrim, it'll include obviously new locations, new weapons and all that stuff. So it's going to give new twists and turns for both PC and console players. But at the end of all of this Elder Scrolls information, I feel like what they're really going to do to kind of generate some more hype is similar to what they did to Fallout Shelter and announce Elder Scrolls Legends that will launch that night. We had the announcement last year. It's going to be this kind of card game similar to Hearthstone, but set in the Elder Scrolls universe. Sounded interesting. Couldn't really generate a lot of hype quite then because a lot of people were like, what the hell is this? This is even the Elder Scrolls I enjoy. So I'm hoping that maybe if they announce it alongside a standard Elder Scrolls remaster or something like a new entry in the Elder Scrolls franchise. I would say it's far too soon for an Elder Scrolls 6, but something kind of new and fresh in the Elder Scrolls franchise that would excite people and have this launch alongside it would really remove a lot of the hate for it. If you go and look at the ratings and the comments for the original Elder Scrolls Legends trailer, it was not received very well because I think that in retrospect and obviously 2020 hindsight, it was not announced in a proper fashion where it just kind of looked like a cash-in more than anything. But I feel like the reason they've been holding off on showing this game off is because of the fact that it's going to launch aside something big in the Elder Scrolls universe. So there we go. Now that Fallout and Elder Scrolls have naturally dominated most of the video, let's get back to some other predictions. I think we're going to get a preview of Doom's first DLC. They did say the first add-on is to release this summer, so I'd imagine that Bethesda's E3 conference will give them a bit of a spotlight to kind of show off some of the new maps and new weapons that they have in Doom. Obviously, Doom has been a heavy presence for Bethesda, especially in these recent months. They've really ramped up the coverage for it, and it was a big highlight at Bethesda's E3 conference for the first year in 2015, so I'm really curious to see if they're going to be showing off more DLC. Then again, it sounds like your standard Call of Duty map packs, because they're $15 each, offer a few maps, few new weapons, all that stuff, so I don't know if that would really justify any screen time on a big conference where everyone's watching. But then again, I think maybe Call of Duty does that. I'm not entirely 100% sure. I think they just do the campaign gameplay or something. Who gives a fuck? But regardless, I'm really hoping we see something new from Doom, maybe a trailer or something. But nonetheless, the next thing I want to move on to is what in the world happened to Battlecry? Is this game even in development? You know, I wonder, has this game just been canceled at this point? Bethesda has admitted in the past that this game has not gained the traction that they expected and has really just been struggling, and no one really seems to care. And I hate to say that because that sounds so messed up to say about a game that people worked so hard to make and all that stuff, but sometimes that's just how the cards fall, right? And these games don't generate attention because no one cares about it, and Battlecry seems to be that type of game currently. Maybe at Bethesda's E3 conference, they'll give it one final try to generate some hype. It's a free-to-play online game. It just didn't look that good in the sense of gameplay, competitive play, any of that stuff. It just looked like a game I'd download if I didn't have any money and I wanted to play a brand new video game. But that's about it. So I'm really curious to see the status of Battlecry. And speaking of canceled games, my big ass prediction is hopefully, somehow, possibly, the resurrection of Prey 2. This game looked so damn cool, so ahead of its time. It was insane, and I could not wait for it anymore. And then obviously it got canceled, and I'm really hoping that one of the Arcane studios, like rumors suggested, picked up on this title and they have resurrected it, because really Prey 2 looks so cool. And when they started the rumors that the people who developed Dishonored were going to be working on Prey 2, for me that just sounded like a perfect match of gameplay elements and world building in this nice cool bounty hunter universe. It just sounded so sick. So fingers crossed that we'll see some more Prey 2, but enough predictions of what we've already seen from Bethesda, what they've been associated with in the past. What about some surprise announcements? You know, obviously there's going to be a surprise announcement or two. What are they going to be? I obviously couldn't accurately predict these because they're likely going to be brand new games, maybe from new developers or maybe from previous developers that Bethesda's worked with. Who in the hell knows? But in the terms of sequels that Bethesda's worked with, I'd hope to see something from the Evil Within franchise. I loved the Evil Within. It was one of my top 3 game of the years, the year it launched, and I really had a blast playing it. It was my type of horror game. It wasn't too scary, but it was just that psychological horror, great gameplay elements, very much in the vein of Resident Evil, considering it was from the original creator of that game series. So I really liked the Evil Within quite a bit, and I really do hope that they maybe bring out a sequel or something along those lines. But nonetheless, this has been my updated prediction list for Bethesda's E3 conference. So I hope you guys kind of agree with my list. I think I have some sound predictions. I think my boldest one is that there's going to be the Elder Scrolls remaster, maybe the resurrection of Prey 2. Here's hoping, ladies and gentlemen. But nonetheless, I would love to hear your thoughts on this in the comments down below. As always, be sure to subscribe for more Bethesda content. Follow me on Twitter, like me on Facebook. The links are in the description. We are trying to get 30,000 Twitter followers. Be sure to check out sugarbomb.com, the place by Bethesda fans for Bethesda fans. Stay sexy, stay active. I love you all. Peace.